Alright everyone, welcome back to yet again another Forza Motorsport online race. And in today's video we find ourselves at Lime Rock in the touring car series, and this was definitely a very interesting race to say the least. A bit of chaos here and there, and you'll see towards the back half of the race that something a bit chaotic happened. But anyways, before we get to there, you see that at the end of qualifying it was pretty close ending between the top three of us, with less than 2 tenths separating the three of us. So yeah, as we head into turn 1, there's right away a lot of contact, and honestly I don't know how P2 didn't just send the guy in P1 flying onto the grass, but that's whatever. Heading into the race, when I saw the guy in P1 who's part of a Brazilian team, I'm pretty sure, because I've encountered a few guys with that exact tag on Forza Motorsport 7. But yeah, I knew that he was gonna be fast, but P2 was definitely achievable, and you'll see that in the end we did finish in one of those two positions. But for now we're pretty much right on Christo's tail heading into turn 1 of lap 2, and you can see that the gap between myself and P4 was already over a second. So it was pretty much sort of a battle between P1 and P2 for, I would say, the first 5 laps or so before Christos went into the pits, and thankfully didn't spin out or lose control there too badly. But it was definitely a stupid mistake on my end, which allowed P1 and P2 to distance themselves from me. And you just saw that the guy in P2 just really turned in early at the second to last corner of the track, and I kind of realized that that was an area where I was definitely weakened, and so was he, because he was turning early on pretty much every single lap. And you'll see that eventually it did cost him a position and was quite a big mistake on his end. But for now we'll stick to the racing happening in lap 3, and you can see that the top 2 guys were just really battling it out. And as you can see, I get hit with the poor network connection at the top of the screen, and this kind of hindered me. Like maybe like a 1 or 2 moments where it kind of looked like they were going off track, or maybe I DC'd, but nothing happened in the end. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, I'm just in P3 trying to stay with both of them and hoping that they either take each other out, as crazy as that sounds, or that one of them makes a pretty huge mistake. And I was really hoping that P1 would be the one to make a big mistake, but you'll see that he didn't make any mistakes, unfortunately. And yeah, you can see right there, that's what I was talking about, where I genuinely thought either they were going off track or I had disconnected. But moving on to second to last corner, as I said, you can see that Christos is really struggling. Maybe not struggling, but he was always losing control of his car going through that corner, and his car seemed to go sideways quite a lot, which didn't really seem to hinder him, surprisingly. And as we start lap 5, you can see that they're really close to each other, and unfortunately for Christos, I believe that he ends up making quite a big mistake here. Yep, as you can see, he goes really deep and damn near touched the grass, but that somehow didn't really affect him, as he just zoomed away from my ass and just got back right next to P2 in like an instant, it seemed. And fortunately for me, I just stayed in P3 right there. But yeah, as we head towards the end of lap 5, this is where P2 decided to go into the pits. As you can see, he's just all over the place, but I'm assuming that he was probably on soft tires, whereas myself and P1 were on the mediums. And at this point, for basically the next 2 laps or so, I was just trying my best to stay with P1, and you can see that by the end of lap 6 the gap went up by a whole second, and that was kind of the story of the race. As you can see, a guy just goes off the track as he exits the pits. But yeah, P1 really, you'll see in the end that his best lap was basically a qualifying lap pace, while the rest of us were kind of a bit back. And as we exit the pits, starting lap 9, we come out in front of Christos, who, unfortunately for him, and I kind of did feel bad for him, he ended up going onto the grass, as I'm guessing he did try to avoid me, but I think he had enough time to react to that. But anyways, you can see that we have a new driver in P2 in CJ the Killer, and unfortunately this was my demise. As you can see, he just loses control, and I really thought he would go off the track, but he just comes back, turns in, and you could probably guessed that that would have happened. And unfortunately, because of that dumbass incident, our buddy Christos is back in P2 somehow after going way off the track just 2 laps ago. And yeah, this was really frustrating, honestly. But you know, it is what it is. We move on. I genuinely contemplated on quitting the race after that incident, but I was like, you know, I'm in P3, the gap to P4 or actually P5 was pretty big, and you can see it's still pretty big. So I'm like, alright, I'll continue. And as we head into turn 1 of lap 12, CJ just makes a mistake.
I'm out of here.
And we get back into P3 with Christos in P2 and Mr. Douglas in P1, which was a story of the first 5 laps basically. And yeah, from this point on, I was trying to stay either within 6/10 with Christos, since he had a half-second penalty, he had a 1/10 of a second for a penalty. So I knew that if I stayed close enough to him, I would eventually get P2 if we were to cross the line with this gap. But obviously I tried to get past him, and you'll see that, as I said, he made a pretty big mistake. But yeah, heading into the beginning of lap 13, you can see that his car is just kind of skidding all over the place. Maybe that's just my poor network, even though my internet is really good. But I made a little mistake right there. But yeah, skipping to the midway of lap 13, and this is where our buddy Christos made a pretty big mistake. Yeah, went onto the grass after going into that corner, turning into it way too early, and yeah, losing control. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this race. I mean, from this point on, it was just smooth sailing to the end of the race in P2, and as you can see, the gap was at 2 seconds heading into the last lap, and in the end, we bring home P2 after quite an eventful race, to say the least. And as you can see, Mr. Douglas 53.6 was head and shoulders above everyone else. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more, and stay tuned for the next race that was also pretty eventful, and that was in the early LMP cars. So yeah, till next time.